Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. Good to have you in on a Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. My dad won't be joining us for today's episode of the Harvey Hour, but we got a lot to talk about. We went to the Patriots game on Sunday, the absolute blowout by the New Orleans Saints. I got half of a sunburn, half a face full of sun for 3 hours. Completely pointless, because they lost. They got absolutely destroyed. It was a 34-0. So I got burnt for nothing. However, no, it was good. Actually, the best part about that game was the people behind us making a bunch of jokes, diehard Patriots fans ripping on the Patriots for their decisions. But, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But let's start with last night's game, which was Raiders and the Packers. So the Raiders took they took the game against the Packers 17-13. Jordan Love throws 3 interceptions in the loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy G had an okay game, 70% completion percentage, 208 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. However, I'll say this. So Jordan Love, this is his 4th year in the NFL, 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. And normally when you're behind a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, a lot of people say he's probably the best, arm talent in NFL history. The way he slings the ball, slings one of the most beautiful footballs in the NFL. That should benefit you. I don't know how much it's benefited Jordan Love. I mean, this game, right now, the way Jordan Love is playing, it's a tale of two halves. And honestly, the better half isn't all that great. He had one phenomenal half against the New Orleans Saints when Derek Carr got hurt and Jameis Winston couldn't do a damn thing. However, Jordan Love so far this season, it's been a tale of two halves. The first half has been absolutely abysmal for Jordan Love. The second half, things start to click a little bit more, but it still is not even good. Last night was pretty ugly. It was a very, very slow game up until about the third quarter. They had that 77-yard pass. It was on the run. It was actually not too bad of a throw by Jordan Love to Christian Watson for that 77-yard pass. However, this was a bad game. They had several chances in the second half to finally put up points, to finally pull away. The Las Vegas Raiders kicker Carlson missed 2 field goals. I think they were each from like 50-plus yards. However, he is one of the best kickers from 50-plus yards out, so you would expect him to make those. However, no, he missed 2 of them, and multiple opportunities, multiple chances. Jimmy G threw an interception. Jordan Love had his chances, and sadly, he could not come out with the win. So the head coach, Matt LaFleur, said, quote, he was trying to give him a chance at the end of the game there. The other one was being a bang-bang play on a deep curl cut. The corner did a nice job squeezing the route, and the ball popped in the air. Sometimes that's the price of doing business. Those are talking about his interceptions. And that last interception, he was trying to get a pass interference call. You shouldn't be leaving the game up to a 50-50 ball. You were driving down. It was actually a beautiful drive late in the game, and you decide, let me take a shot to see if I can get a cheap call to finally, put us on like the 1-yard line and see if we could go in and win the game that way. You got to trust yourself. You got to trust your ability to get first downs consistently and keep the ball moving. You can't, basically put the entire game on a potential call, because guess what? That means you don't have confidence in yourself. Like Josh McDaniels, for instance. He had an opportunity to put away the game, instead elected to kick a field goal. That could mean 2 things. One, he doesn't trust Jimmy G in order to come back in case, the Packers do end up scoring. So let's kick a field goal. Let's put up points. Let's go up by a little bit more to see if Jordan Love really comes back. And that leads into the second one, which is being they really don't trust Jordan Love and his ability to come back. And guess what? We really haven't seen that. We saw one good game against, Jameis Winston not doing anything against that Packers team. But right now, in the past 3 weeks, Jordan Love right now currently leads the NFL in interceptions just in these past 3 weeks. The Raiders kind of flipped, the turnover differential, right? Because Jimmy G, before this week, was leading the league in interceptions. Now he only throws 1, and instead your defense takes away 2, or I guess takes away 3. There was a 2 turnover differential for the Raiders and the Packers. This is bad. I don't know if Jordan Love could be a tier 1 guy, but it really doesn't look that way. Because you know what? I ripped on, Trey Lance for having, I think it's a sub 50% completion percentage in his entire career, or very, very close to it. Jordan Love is having a difficult time completing passes. So far, this season, he's completed 55.6% of his passes. That ain't going to cut it. Can that win you a couple games? Yeah, but like Jair Alexander said, it's really going to be up to the defense to basically allow them to score no touchdowns. Jair Alexander actually took a shot at the offense, saying they're still trying to figure out, their rhythm, their motion. What is their identity? And that's right. The Packers don't have an identity right now. They tried to run the ball a lot, then they tried to throw it. They changed the way they play football per game, and I don't think that's exactly the smartest thing because that leaves a lot of question marks. Does Jordan Love have all the confidence from Matt LaFleur? Who knows? Yes, I'm sure the injury to Aaron Jones did hurt that offense. However, the Packers this season haven't been able to run the ball particularly well. This season, they are currently ranked, I have it here, they're currently ranked 28th in rushing. So regardless if Aaron Jones is out there or not, I mean, in total, they can't run the ball very well. Receiving, they're 21st. Their defense, however, I'll give them this. Their pass defense is 9th in the league. But still, though, the Packers are a slightly below average total defense. Their offense is bottom 5. It's bad. It's very, very bad. And Jordan Love is somewhat to blame for that because, he had 2 good weeks of no turnovers. I think he threw 3 touchdowns in each of the first 2 games. He had slightly above 50% completion percentage, but he was putting up points. Now, when defenses have film, when teams have film, and they realize, he's not a good deep ball thrower, intermediate throws, he's okay, but not great, you could really test him. You say, hey, we don't respect you. We're not going to honor the fact that you may or may not have an arm, because guess what? We haven't seen it. He's not that good on a deep ball. He's not all that good on intermediate throws. So Jordan Love is coming in here, and he throws 3 interceptions. It was bad. Like these interceptions were bad. There was one, the late game interception is what it is. But that first interception was a horrible interception. So do the Packers have their long-term quarterback? I have no idea. Because, it's very hard to tell because finding a quarterback, as the Patriots and as the Jets and even as the Giants have seen besides Eli Manning, getting a quarterback's tough. You with. The question is, though, what do you do moving forward? I don't think, Jordan Love may not be the long-term situation or the long-term answer for the Packers at quarterback. However, I'm staying on my ground where I said, can he go 8-9? Can he replicate what Aaron Rodgers did last season? And I still think he can. But I do not think he's going to be their 15-year starter, 10-year starter. I think, eventually they'll move off of him to find a replacement. Can he live up to maybe an Aaron, I almost said Aaron Rodgers, a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr or someone in that, lower tier 2 of quarterbacks? Maybe. But right now we haven't seen it. Now, I understand. The talent around him is not pristine. It's not a Justin Jefferson, and it's nowhere near like a San Francisco 49ers where they have weapons all over. However, though, Christian Watson last season, he had a couple very, very nice catches. He actually played pretty well. Romeo Doubs had a very, very good start to the season. They got that tight end Musgrave. He looks okay. Their offensive line is better than the Raiders is. Their defense outside of Max Crosby should be better than the Raiders is. I mean, Marcus Peters, they even talked about on the broadcast. The Packers were going to try to, target him a lot because he isn't that good. He seems old. He seems washed. So your defense is even better. It's really about Jordan Love. Can he perform? And he had several opportunities. I was waiting because it was part of my Harvey Hot Hand. By the way, on the Harvey Hot Hand, I forgot to mention this. We had our first losing record and first multi-loss week. I went 2-3 this week. I was hoping Jordan Love several opportunities. As soon as they missed that field goal, I'm like, okay, let's go, Jordan Love. Let's get it started. And he falls apart. I got really happy when I saw them driving that last drive. I'm like, okay, let's play it smart. I think they had a timeout late in that drive too. Let's keep it going. And then the interception comes. I'm like, okay, interesting. And so I lost. But I think right now, moving forward, I think Jordan Love is a short-term solution. Do I think he'll be there in 5 years down the line? I don't think so. But in reality, we don't know. But it doesn't look like, he's going to be their long-term answer. That's just my opinion on it. All right, let's get into the big game here. So, this is a game that me and my dad went to. So, Patriots-Saints, the Patriots got absolutely destroyed, 34-0. It was horrible. Mac Jones did get benched for the second week in a row. They got their doors blown off, absolutely. I mean, Derek Carr here's the thing, Derek Carr didn't play that well. I think he had like under 150 yards, something like that. He did not play very, very well. It was really about the fact that this Patriots offense is actually abysmal. And I'm going to talk about Bill Belichick later on in the show because I do think it's important. Sorry, under 200 yards. My fault. He had 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 71 QBR, a 114.7 passer rating. What I found interesting, because we had pretty good seats, so you could see Bill Belichick, you could see Bill O'Brien. I actually wrote it down here because I thought it was very, very fascinating. So I forgot. I think it was a third and out. Yeah, so a third and out with 6:44 left in the second quarter. So a quarter and a half of play, basically. Bill Belichick, I saw him. Bill O'Brien, I think, sits right next to Mac Jones. Bill Belichick came right over to Bill O'Brien. It was actually chewing him out. He was yelling at Bill O'Brien because this offense was absolutely terrible. Now, I understand. The pick six was ugly. He got hit on the throw. Hunter Henry was open, but, you know, when you have no offensive line, you got demons. You got demons in your head. You see ghosts. It doesn't look that good. Mac Jones, I'm not defending Mac Jones. I'm about 98% done with Mac Jones because I don't think he's not Tom Brady. He's not a middle of the when he has protection, I think he could be like in his rookie year. He could be the 16th or 15th best quarterback. His rookie year he was ranked 15th. But he doesn't have protection. That's the big thing. Because he hasn't had protection all year, he doesn't trust his offensive line even when they give him maybe a half second more. Because he knows if he stays in the pocket for a half second, he'll get hit. He might lose the ball. He doesn't want to fumble the football. Or, as I'm thinking now, he doesn't want to get hurt. I think he's scared to get hit now. And so he has the happy feet in the pocket. He hasn't been stepping into throws all season. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem because there's no velocity on the football. There's really not there's no mustard on the throw. There's nothing there. The second interception, that's not on Mac. That's on Ty Montgomery. Any receiver, I think Ty Montgomery is like a wide receiver running back blend. But unfortunately, Demario Douglas got hurt in this game off a great throw, great catch. He ended up getting hurt, head injury, unfortunately. But Ty Montgomery was in the game, and Mac Jones actually threw a great pass on the money. Ty Montgomery dropped it, it got bounced up in the air, and it got intercepted. That was unfortunate. I'm not putting that on Mac. Could it have been a quicker throw? Maybe. But I think every capable wide receiver would catch that, and Ty Montgomery clearly is not that guy. The Patriots right now started out by Pro Football Focus, I believe, as the 20th ranked offensive line. They are now 30th. 30th. And you can't say the pressure is on Mac Jones. I've seen in the comments before, people are saying, Mac Jones takes too many sacks. He has no pocket awareness. Well, I hate to break it to you. The QB pressure, so the pressures that Mac Jones himself creates is 7.7%. The rest of that is his offensive line and running backs. So it's not Mac. Hell, his sack numbers have decreased in great numbers. His pressure to sack percentage has basically depleted to near zero. I mean, he's really not taking any sacks. He's trying to evade them because he's running outside the pocket and because there's no protection there. This game was bad. This game was very, very bad. And it keeps harking on the fact that they have no weapons, they have no offensive line, and now with Matt Judon out and Christian Gonzalez out, their defense was not good. I mean, they barely generated any pressure. I'll bring up the number right now. I mean, Derek Carr was basically just living in the pocket there. So yesterday, I guess it was Sunday, Derek Carr pressured on under 25% of his dropbacks, 24.1%. Meanwhile, Mac Jones was pressured on 41.7% of his dropbacks. I mean, I'm telling you right now, not many, if any, quarterbacks could succeed with the Patriots roster or with the protection that Mac Jones is getting. I'm not here out saying, Mac Jones is the answer, but damn sure Bailey Zappi ain't the answer. I mean, take a look at this. This is when Bailey Zappi, he missed two wide open, and one that if he had more, zip on it, that could have been a completion. I mean, that first one, I think that was Hunter Henry. That was terrible. This one, I mean, he's wide open. This is Kendrick Bourne. Wide open. And this one, if he actually, had a lot of arm strength to get it over the defender's head, then almost got intercepted, by the way, that would have been actually a really good completion. But this first throw, I mean, you can't be more wide open than that. The Kendrick Bourne throw, I mean, this is a beautiful route, beautiful separation. Bailey Zappi misses him. And then that last one, I think if you had enough, arm strength to get it over the defensive back, I think that would have been a great completion. But you know what? That's not what Bailey Zappi has. So I understand. A lot of people don't like Mac Jones, maybe because of his cheap shots, maybe because he went outside the organization to find help because Matt Patricia clearly isn't going to give it to him, or Joe Judge. That, to me, still makes no sense at all why you would hire those two coaches. I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. But Bailey Zappi clearly isn't the answer. So maybe bring in Malik Cunningham. Maybe start Will Grier. But Bailey Zappi for sure isn't the answer, even in the Cowboys game. He went 4 of 9. This one, he went 3 of 9. Bailey Zappi clearly is not the answer for the Patriots. Yes, he did have a pretty good season last season, but honestly, the best performance came when Ramon J. Stevenson was running the hell out of the football, and he was able to go into play action. He had one good game against I think it was the Browns, where he had like 300 yards. But again, it's the Browns defense last year, which wasn't very good. I mean, Bailey Zappi, if Mac Jones isn't the answer, Bailey Zappi for sure isn't the answer because Bill Belichick allowed Bailey Zappi to go to waivers. He allowed any team to go pick him up, and no one did, and then signed him back. Hell, he even brought in Matt Corral to the starting lineup before he did Bailey Zappi. Matt Corral was the only other quarterback besides Matt Jones to start the year, as a backup quarterback. Bailey Zappi wasn't even on the 53-man roster. It wasn't until Matt Corral, they took him off the team, they brought up Bailey Zappi. They didn't even trust Bailey Zappi. They let any team have him, and no team wanted him. So if people really don't like Mac Jones, you can't really like Bailey Zappi because the Patriots don't fully believe in him because guess what? The way Mac Jones is playing, really, if Bailey Zappi was that guy and in practice he showed he was that guy, why do you think the Patriots wouldn't start him? They let him go. He's not the starter. And if Mac Jones isn't the answer, those two things should prove to you that the Patriots don't even believe in Bailey Zappi as their long-term solution. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate just because, you know what? The Patriots, I'm going to say this right now, and it's true. The Patriots have been blessed, if not spoiled, to the fact that they've had 20 years, Patriots fans, that they've had 20 years of sustained long-term success. It may be the greatest dynasty in sports history. You had Tom Brady, you had Bill Belichick, you had Randy Moss, you had Gronk, you had Edelman, you had Amendola. You had all these pieces that were likable figures and that were winning. That's the big thing. They won 6 Super Bowls together. With I think it's 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime. So each Super Bowl win was like a storyboard. It was beautiful. I mean, look at Super Bowl 51 against the Falcons. You're down 28-3. The defense steps up. Brady creates, the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. It was phenomenal to watch. Super Bowl 49, Brady's favorite Super Bowl. You were down, I think, by 10 or 14 in the fourth quarter. You come back and win that Super Bowl. Hell, even in the AFC Championship game against Saxonville, you're down by 10 in the fourth quarter. Brady comes back. I mean, Brady really, I'm going to talk about this later, Brady was a huge part of the Patriots' success. And you're now seeing it. You are now seeing what I think is the truth, that Belichick isn't all that. Is he still a great defensive mind? Absolutely. I'm never going to contest the fact that Belichick is not probably the best defensive coach. But we're talking about overall head coach. This takes a massive ding on his credibility, and I think we could be thinking about Belichick differently as overall the greatest head coach of all time. Because what has he done? He's horrible drafting offense. His offensive line situations are bad. Running backs are okay here and there, but they seem to fall off nearly instantaneously. I mean, yeah, he could draft defense. Christian Gonzalez, great pickup. What I found funny, and I said this on Friday's show, was as soon as Christian Gonzalez went down, they knew he was going to be out. And J.C. Jackson, there was a sniff that J.C. Jackson and the Chargers were not going to get along very well, and that relationship obviously ultimately ended, but that relationship was breaking. Belichick's like, let's go out and get J.C. Jackson. Let's bring him back. Meanwhile, they've had a wide receiver situation for the past, 4 seasons now where they haven't had a true wide receiver one. They brought in Marquise Lee, I think. They brought in Damiere Byrd. They brought in all these random receivers. Kendrick Bourne, I like. Devontae Parker, who can't separate. Juju, whose knee is he's nowhere near the receiver he once was. You bring in all these pieces that aren't very good or broken down or just overall wide receiver 3s maybe on most teams, and you're making them wide receiver 1s and 2s. But as soon as Christian Gonzalez goes down, because Belichick knows defense, and he seems to always, enjoy bringing his friends over and former, teammates, former draftees or whatnot, let's go out and get J.C. Jackson because we lost Christian Gonzalez. Yet the Patriots have had a serious wide receiver issue for years, and he doesn't address that properly. Drafts N'Keal Harry, and we're going to talk about that later on the show. But, yeah, it's pretty bad in New England. But, hey, maybe this is exactly what the Patriots need, right? The last time they were bad, I think Robert Kraft, he went 2-14 his first year with the Patriots, 1992, if I'm not mistaken. They go out, they draft Drew Bledsoe. They made the Super Bowl in 1996. They lost. But hey, maybe this is what the Patriots need. Maybe they need a hard reset in order to move forward and go back to long-term success. But as of right now, the way that this roster is currently constructed and the way that the players are playing, no, this is probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. And saying that, talking about the Patriots, it's brutal, but it's the truth. The Patriots are maybe behind the Giants. I mean, the Giants are at least putting up points here. The Patriots haven't scored in 7 quarters. 7 quarters. They've been outscored 72-3 in the past 2 games. The Giants aren't even that bad. Yes, Daniel Jones is getting the crap beat out of him, and he's still dealing with like a neck injury. I think he's actually expected to play this week. But I mean, at least the Giants are putting up points. And Evan Neal is absolutely terrible. They're at least putting up points. The Patriots can't put up anything. They've been shut out. So, it's bad. It's very, very bad in New England. All right, but coming up, though, I break down Dak Prescott's performance against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football, and it's bad. It's very, very bad. Also, I talk about Bill Belichick. Is it time for Bill Belichick to finally be let go by Robert Kraft after lackluster performances since Brady's departure? I talk about that right after the break.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the content.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. My dad, Stephen Harvey's not here for today's episode of the Harvey Hour. But join me in my breakdown of was it Sunday's game, Sunday Night Football's game between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. So the 49ers, what a game. Absolutely crushed the Dallas Cowboys 42-10. Brock Purdy and George Kittle connect on 3 touchdowns. I mean, that combination right there was unstoppable. I mean, Dak Prescott had a pretty bad game. He was pressured, I think, over 50% of the time. I'll break up the actual number here for you right now. He was pressured on 51.9% of the time compared to Brock Purdy's 29.6%. So, a large disparity in whose offensive line and whose defensive line is better, and clearly it's in favor of the 49ers. But I'll talk about this right now. Brock Purdy's legit. I'm going to be honest here. I was skeptical very early on about Brock Purdy because we were like 3 games in to his career, right? He went 3-0. And people are saying, you know what? That reminds me of Kurt Warner. Oh, that reminds me of Tom Brady. Oh, he has a similar, intangibles to Patrick Mahomes. And I said, hold up. And that's actually one of the most viewed videos on this channel. I said, hold up. Let's just take a step back here. Let's wait to see what the kid has. And, well, he's proven it time and time again that he could play, that he could perform. Dak Prescott in this game was terrible. Those 3 interceptions were bad. I called out, Jordan Love for having bad interceptions. I mean, Dak Prescott's may have been worse. Like, he was actually terrible in this game. On passes that went 20 or more yards, right? So PFF classify those as deep passes. He was 25%, 1 of 4, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. On medium passes, so intermediate, so 10 to 19 yards, he was 25% for 29 yards. I mean, Dak this game, there was nothing there that Dak could work with. And, I'll give credit to one of my friends out there because he called hours before the game. Dak's going to throw for, I think he said like 150 yards and 3 interceptions. Well, he basically nailed it on the head. 153 yards, 1 touchdown, and then 3 interceptions. So props to him. He basically called the way Dak Prescott is going to perform in this game because we've seen that. Any big game, Dak does not show up. And then that's why the name of the clip was Dak will lose the Cowboys the game against the 49ers. Because it's true. I mean, think about it. Early in the game, right? Christian McCaffrey, this score actually should have been much higher. Christian McCaffrey fumbled the ball. If Brock Purdy stayed out there and the offense kept rolling, I mean, they could have put up 50-plus against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this was bad. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dak Prescott said that he didn't see this coming. What? You didn't see it? This team, the 49ers, I mean, you take a look at the roster. Brock Purdy may be their weakest link. And that's saying a lot because that's saying they basically have no holes. So you didn't see this coming. What film was Dak Prescott looking at that realized that Nick Bosa and Hargrave and Fred Warner and Greenlaw and all these players on the 49ers, they're going to be coming bum rushing you and there's nothing that you could do about it. And, what I'm really curious what Dak was expecting from this 49ers team that he didn't see this game coming. Is it in total that you didn't expect your defense to also not perform? But it doesn't help when you throw 3 interceptions. Actually, your defense did take 7 points off the board with that Christian McCaffrey fumble. And honestly, you take a look at that first quarter, I mean, Brock Purdy didn't look all that great. The defense actually did its job in the first quarter, but obviously this is a 4-quarter game. I mean, let's go back to Brock Purdy. The kid could play. Now, I'm sure we'll never really truly see, because I don't think it's going to be like a Brady Belichick situation where Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, they split at some point, and we can determine, who's more, is it more Purdy or is it more Shanahan? Who knows? But we do know that Shanahan is a huge, huge part of quarterback success, because look at Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo's turnovers were very low when it came with the 49ers in the regular season. Now take a look at him. Outside, I think today, he was leading the league in interceptions. I mean, with the 49ers, they had very, very similar stats, Brock Purdy and Jimmy G did. They each had 16 touchdowns. I think Brock Purdy had one more or one fewer interception last season in the regular season than Jimmy G did. But still, very similar stats. Jimmy G had 4 interceptions through, 10 games. Brock Purdy I think he has 1 or I think he actually has 0 still. And Jimmy G has, 7 now. So we could see the coaching difference and how large of an impact Kyle Shanahan has on quarterbacks. But this game was actually really good for Brock Purdy because, a large part of his tenure, yards after the catch was a huge part of Brock Purdy's yards. This time, I think it was 43% of his yards were yards after the catch, which for Brock Purdy actually is one of the lowest numbers. So Brock Purdy was dealing. He had one great touchdown throw. It was back right to George Kittle. It was a beautiful throw, beautiful strike, great play. They also had that trick play that the Lions did, I think, earlier that week or earlier in that day. I mean, props to the 49ers, props to Kyle Shanahan, props to Brock Purdy. This 49ers team has no holes. And also, Micah Parsons said that, caliber-wise, they're very, very similar. What are you talking about? Micah actually sort of disappeared in this game. He was my defensive player of the year. I'm probably going to be wrong with that strictly on team success. But seriously, I understand. You probably have to say that oh yeah, we can go toe-to-toe with them again. In reality, no, you can't. They have no holes. You could, the running game wasn't very good. Dak Prescott in big games shrinks. The defense seemed to, basically be shut down the entire game because the 49ers are just too good. Yes, you have to say we'll get them next time. But in reality, this 49ers team is too good. Is way too good. Me and my dad didn't make Super Bowl predictions entering the year, and probably we should have. However, this 49ers team right now, as it's currently constructed, should win the Super Bowl because there is literally nothing wrong with any part of their team. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching. No holes. 0 holes in this team. honestly, if they don't get there or if they lose it, it's probably going to be because of Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy so far has been able to deliver time after time after time after time again. And CMC didn't even have a good running numbers in this game. He got actually outgained by another running back. So CMC's impact, at least running the football, wasn't big. This was simply Brock Purdy and that 49ers defense absolutely dealing. And although, a couple of those interceptions were very, very bad, the defense will take whatever Dak gives them. And guess what? Dak will give you a lot. 49ers are really good. 49ers are extremely good. I mean, I guess we should have thought of this, but then there's a huge question mark of can Brock Purdy replicate what he did last season? And the answer is yes. 1,000% yes. And the Cowboys, think about who they beat up this season. The Jets, the Patriots, the Giants, all teams with either no quarterback, no offensive line, or a pretty bad defense. So I'm glad the Cowboys had their success against terrible teams, but against really, really good teams where you need to, step up and perform, who knows what they'll look like. So far, they're not good. They're not good. We'll have to see down the line, when they play tougher teams, and my guess is they will make the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see what they do in the playoffs. But right now, it's not looking too good. It's looking pretty grim for Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's get into the final topic of today's show. The show is flying by. But, this is what happens. This is what happens. So let's get into this last topic here. So Bill Belichick. A lot of question now, in the Boston, New England area. And I think, honestly, in national media news, national sports media news, people are questioning Bill Belichick and, historically his numbers, his winning record, whatever the case may be. Is he actually, a good, great, the best head coach of all time? And I said this last season. Belichick defensively, I'll never question because we've seen where he steps up defensively and coaches a phenomenal game. 2 Rams Super Bowls, the greatest show on turf, and I think they scored 33 points a game in 2018, the Los Angeles Rams. Shut him down. Completely shut him down. However, that was with Tom Brady. That was with Tom Brady with a great throw to Gronk and then Sony Michel running up the middle to basically win that game. Also a couple missed kicks, but I think, by then they were out of it entirely, essentially. But you know what? Good job to Belichick. Brady set that up, pushed him past the win, whatever the case may be. I remember earlier this offseason, right? Bill Belichick sort of made a sly comment about the fact, when he was asked about being 27th in cash spending, this season. He was called a Robert Kraft. He's like, Robert Kraft signs the checks or whatever. And Robert Kraft, I believe this was a July quote. I have it here. So Robert Kraft goes, Bill Belichick has never come to me and not gotten everything he wanted. Do we have the...
I think he needs a little...
We'll talk about that. We do have the quote here. Bill Belichick has never come to me and not gotten everything he wanted from a cash spending perspective. We have never set limits. Money spending will never be the issue, I promise you, or I'll sell the team. So clearly, Robert Kraft is making the case with the fact that, it's not the fact that I'm saying I won't pay money for these guys. It's Belichick's, scouting, and it's Belichick's decision whether or not he actually wants these players. And what you saw very briefly there is what I'm going to show right now. This is Julian Edelman, I believe it was yesterday, on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd on FS1, talking about Bill Belichick and this Patriots team.
I think he needs a little help on the offensive side. I mean, you look at the defensive picks, they all look pretty good. I mean, they always come out and they perform. The Christian Gonzalez kid, before he got hurt, looked like he was playing good. We have whiffed, and I hate talking about coach like this, but we have whiffed on a lot of offensive skill position players, starting from, I don't want to call guys out, but there are 3-4 receivers when I was playing that we got in top rounds that,
you knew early.
You look in camp, and you can always see from a guy that's drafted high. You see one trait. They're raw, but you could see one trait. Oh, yep, that's a first rounder. You're looking, and I was like, what's going on here? That's not a first rounder. I don't know what's going on. So I think he would be the first to tell you that he's had some screw ups. He's a very accountable guy, and I do think that that they probably do need a little more help on the offensive side of scouting.
I don't know if accountable is the way that I would describe Bill Belichick. I mean, look at last season. No one really took accountability for that horrible offense. really no one did. I was hoping Matt Patricia would come say, we're going to make some changes. This is on me. This is on coaching. This is something we need to work on. And I really never heard that. But Julian Edelman makes great points. And obviously, one of the players he's talking about, one of those wide receivers that clearly didn't have it, that was drafted, in the top rounds, was N'Keal Harry, drafted first in the first round, picked 32 in 2019. One of the worst picks Bill Belichick maybe has ever had. I've showed this graphic before, but I'll say this right now. Bill Belichick cannot draft wide receivers. Since 2010, Taylor Price in the 3rd round, Jeremy Ebert in the 7th round, Josh Boyce in the 4th, Aaron Dobson in the 2nd, Jeremy Gallen in the 7th round, Devin Lucien in the 7th round, Malcolm Mitchell, who I liked a lot, who had potential, retired after 1 year, in the 4th round, Braxton Berrios, a special teams guy, in the 6th, N'Keal Harry in the 1st, Trey Nixon in the 7th, Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd. You got Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, I believe, both in the 6th round. I mean, we'll have to wait and see Demario Douglas right now actually probably, at least rating-wise, has been the best Patriots receiver this season. Kayshon Boutte had a very promising game, except he couldn't catch a single ball because of 2, toe touches that he couldn't really get, that lost the game basically for the Patriots in week 1. But, there was something there at least. I mean, outside of that, Braxton Berrios is a special teams guy. N'Keal Harry, he was terrible. Malcolm Mitchell retired after 1 season, but looked really good in that 1 season with Tom Brady. Belichick has done a horrible job drafting offensive talent in the past over a decade at this point. Julian Edelman and Gronk may be, the 2 best draft picks Belichick's had in recent memory. Think about this. Bill Belichick's head coaching record without Tom Brady, 80-92. 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win. I think, honestly, if we take a look at it by Bill Belichick's standards, if he was the owner of the New England Patriots, he would fire himself. He would fire himself. Now, here's a problem that I think Robert Kraft's going to need to weigh out. Can you fire Belichick, the GM, while also retaining Belichick, the head coach? I don't think you can. I think if you fire Bill Belichick, the GM, you also fire Bill Belichick, the head coach. I do not think, he'll want his power to be stripped from him and then still stay there, just don't have, the GM rights. He's been an absolute failure on the offensive side of picking the ball. He doesn't really get offense. It's the Greg Popovich, really, where, the 3 ball is out there, you just don't really develop it. You don't really, emphasize it. Bill Belichick, this game has transitioned from running game and defense, which Bill Belichick was an expert in early on in the early 2000s and in the 1990s and 80s. Now it's offensive, quarterback, receiver, tight end, offensive line. And we're dealing with injuries. Injuries are a minor part of it, but just talent overall, lackluster, washed wide receivers, not good wide receivers, especially ones who don't separate. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, you got rid of Jacoby Myers. This blew my mind. You got rid of Jacoby Myers, who actually, we saw in the Raiders game, still has a lot of separation. Mac Jones' crucial 3rd down target. They got basically the same exact contract. Yet you got Juju, who has a history of injuries and was dealing with an injury just the prior year, and you outbid the Chiefs. The Chiefs just won a Super Bowl with him as their slot receiver, as a huge part of their offense. He was actually the guy who they called the defensive holding on to basically set up a Chiefs victory in that Super Bowl. You outbid the Chiefs for him. That had to give signs. Devontae Parker has been the worst receiver separation-wise for the past 3-4 seasons. He can't separate. He's terrible. He's not good. Kendrick Bourne is a promising receiver, but he's not a wide receiver 1. He might be a low-tier wide receiver 2. In reality, he's a wide receiver 3. I like him. He's probably my favorite receiver on the Patriots. But outside of that, they got nobody. Pop Douglas is interesting. He's young. He's been dealing with injuries. Kayshon Boutte, I don't know what's wrong with him. I've tried to look it up. I've seen a couple of healthy scratches. I don't get it. You got Jalen Reagor. You traded for him. He hasn't made an appearance. What are we doing here? And now, here's the thing. We saw in I believe it was the 2021 offseason, right? You draft Mac Jones. Then you spend like $150 million in like a day or two on Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and all these pieces. Jonnu Smith's gone. Hunter Henry is a B plus tight end. It's basically wasted money. Wasted money. Now, will Belichick bring somebody in? I think that's what Julian Edelman's talking about here. I don't know if he will, but even if he does, we literally take a look at the coaching staff. It's friends, it's family, and former draft picks. The offensive line coach, Adrian Clem, I believe coached at Oregon the last season. He was a former second-round draft pick from Bill Belichick. He brought back Josh McDaniels. He kept Josh McDaniels for a long time, let him go. You bring back Matt Patricia, and you bring back Joe Judge, who respectively were horrible head coaches. God-awful head coaches. Made quarterbacks and made the overall team significantly worse. Joe Judge as a head coach made Daniel Jones with a 26th ranked quarterback. We saw what the Lions look like with Matt Patricia. I mean, Darius Slay didn't like him. A bunch of players didn't like him coaching. You know what Belichick said? Come on back. We'll make you offensive coaches. Huh? Special teams, defensive coaches. That does not equate to offensive coaching talent. Hell, it was actually very detrimental. I said, not this offseason, the offseason beforehand, so before the monstrosity that was last season, that the year 2 for quarterbacks is the most crucial year for quarterback development. And I really think Belichick screwed him over. Belichick screwed Mac Jones over by giving him a defensive coach and a special teams coordinator as his quarterback coach and offensive line and offensive play caller. It's bad. It was very, very bad. Belichick seemingly has this ideology, and this is well known. He's going to get off a guy 1 year early than 1 year late. And that's what happened with Tom Brady. He drafted one real replacement and one potential replacement, rumored replacement. The one would be obviously Jimmy G. He really wanted Jimmy G to be the starting quarterback back in 2017. And Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft and said, yo, I'm the QB for the team. And Robert Kraft said, yeah, you are. They got rid of Jimmy G. Then they got Jarrett Stidham. Now, I understand Jarrett Stidham is not a quarterback one, but they drafted him in the 4th round and, gave him nicknames. Belichick didn't give Brady a nickname, but, I think Belichick really liked Jarrett Stidham. Then he got Cam Newton late in 2020. It was bad. There was no plan B. Hell, I guarantee you, if Tom Brady they traded the pick away to Seattle, which ultimately ended up being DK Metcalf. If the Patriots used that draft pick on DK Metcalf, I guarantee you Brady would have still been there. Because there were no weapons, N'Keal Harry, and all these random pieces that the Patriots had. There was nobody in 2019. Julian Edelman, I believe, led the league in drops. He was also banged up all the time. There was nobody there. Gronk retired. Brady goes to Tampa. Brings Gronk out of retirement. The Bucs, with their first pick in that draft Tristan Wirfs to help Tom Brady. You got Leonard Fournette. You got Julio Jones. You got Antonio Brown. You got, Tom Brady brought all these pieces because he's Tom Brady. Because players know that when you have Tom Brady, you could win games. As soon as Brady left that organization, there was a life force that got sucked out of that building. Because now, Brady being that scapegoat, Brady being the player to say, hey, we got this. We're going to win a bunch of games. Let's just hold in there. Let's just go through what Belichick wants, and let's move forward. Let's win. Let's go out and play for a Super Bowl. Who was there? Devin McCourty and Matthew Slater were the only people there, and I guess David Andrews, that were there to say, all right, let's get this going. But it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the reason why the Patriots won. In my opinion, Tom Brady was at least 80% of the Patriots' success. At least. Because if the defense really was that dominant, if it really was, why would Tom Brady need 6 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter or overtime? Why? To me, that doesn't make any sense. If your defense is really that dominant, you should be shutting down teams in the Super Bowl. Now, the first 3 seasons, although Super Bowl, it was the second Brady Super Bowl, the defense in that second half, there was no defense in the second half. That was Brady's offensive Super Bowl. I think they won 32-29 against the Panthers. There was no defense in that second. The first half, well, I think it was a very, very low score. That second half, or maybe only in the 4th quarter, there was no defense. Yes, the greatest show on turf and 2018 Super Bowl, yes, those were defensive masterpieces. I'll give Belichick that. But outside of that, they benched Malcolm Butler in 2017 against the Eagles for unknown reasons. The rumor reason was because practice, him and Matt Patricia got into it. And, for a punishment, we'll bench you in the Super Bowl. Nick Foles put up a huge number on him. I think it was 42 points, something like that. Brady threw 505 yards and couldn't win because your defense couldn't stop Nick Foles. I mean, come on here. So Belichick needs a lot of help. I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. I don't think anyone, is going to argue. Belichick needs some sort of help. If I was Robert Kraft, this would be the moment where I'm saying, hey, get someone, make a move, trade for someone, go out and just get somebody. But you can't right now. D-Hop was you had a chance to sign D-Hop, but didn't want to give him $13 million a year. OBJ was out there. You didn't want to give him a lot of money. There are receivers out there that Belichick had an opportunity to get. Hell, even try to trade for one. I mean, think about it, right? The Panthers are outwardly saying, we need a wide receiver. We are open to trading for a wide receiver. Joe Judge gave players jerseys saying, it's all on us, nobody is coming. What? This team is terrible. What do you mean nobody's coming? It's bad. It's bad in New England. And I really think this, I called it last season. I said Belichick retires last season as one of my Harvey hot takes. Maybe I was a year too soon. Maybe this season, Belichick won't retire. Instead, Robert Kraft will fire him. And I think, honestly, we're getting to that point. I understand historically, right? Belichick, the 6 Super Bowls, great cut, whatever the case may be. His ideology is outdated completely. It's obsolete. Pete Carroll is, a year or two older than Bill Belichick. He's had to change his system and his ideology and his team 4 times. And he's found success in each one of those time periods. Belichick has had a slight one season with the Browns where he made the playoffs. Then right now, outside of that, what has he been? Mediocre without Brady. Actually, under 500 without Brady. With one playoff appearance where they couldn't stop Josh Allen, who scored on 7 straight drives. 7 straight touchdown drives. It's bad. They didn't have a plan B for Tom Brady. They didn't want to pay him. Belichick didn't believe Brady had anything left. Well, newsflash, he went out and won the Super Bowl and probably should have made a second one if Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't decide, or the miscommunication in the NFC Championship game, I think it was the NFC Championship game against the, it might have been the divisional. I forget which game it was. Bucks, Rams, Cooper Kupp runs up the middle of the field. Antoine Winfield can't catch up with them. Brady had a great season. It was probably maybe one of, if not the best season Brady's had at 44 years old. I really think I think it's Belichick's time. It's sad to say that, but I think we need to start playing funeral music for Bill Belichick and realize that his ideology is not good. In today's NFL, it doesn't work. It's completely outdated. It's bad. It's very, very bad. All right, that does wrap up today's show of the Harvey Hour. Thank you, everyone who tuned in to today's show. I greatly appreciate it, as always. We got a show Friday. We're going to make our week, we're up to week 6 now. I'll do my Thursday night pick. So what we got going? I think it's Broncos at Chiefs. I believe Chiefs are favored. Yeah, Broncos at Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by -10.5. I'll take them. I'll take the Chiefs. Zach Wilson and Breece Hall just destroyed that team. More so Breece Hall putting up nearly 200 yards on that Broncos defense. I think Isaiah Pacheco, so far he's been very, very good. And that defense, I think it's going to disrupt Russell Wilson. I'll take the Chiefs to win and cover. I'll take the Chiefs to win. Let's go 37-21 Chiefs over Broncos. So there we go. We have my Thursday pick. But as I said, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We got Friday's show. We make our week 6 picks. So far, let's see. The Harvey Hot Hands doing very, very well. I don't have the graphic here. The picks for this week were okay. We had a little bit of a rough patch in the spread option. But, so far it's been good. You'll see it on Friday where we're up to in the win-loss and the spread records. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Harvey Hour. Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Me and my dad will be back with Week 6 picks, NBA news, a bunch of stuff, NFL news, Thursday Night Football recap, everything. See you Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.